Good morning, y'all. What's up? We're gonna have a whole fun day of review. I'm super stoked. It's Fiveable's birthday. It's 1 month until exams. So if you can hear me, if you can see me, you're getting excited for today. Let me know in the chat where you're coming from. Where are you right now? I'm just gonna head off. All right, so I am streaming right now from Berkeley, California. Fiveable team is all in Madison and Chicago, getting you guys some giveaways throughout today because I don't know, it's our birthday, so we decided to give everyone else presents. Who else? Where we got? Where we got people from? Central Wisconsin. Cool. Nice and close to the Fiveable house. Morning from Reno. From Berkeley though. Yeah, I'm just out here in Berkeley for the weekend, and then San Diego next week. Just kind of moving around. Yeah, so it's been kind of a crazy year. It was 1 year ago today that I streamed for the first time for AP World students. It was like a Friday night at 8 p.m. and it was just kind of like, I wonder if students will find this useful. I wonder if they'll show up. I wonder if teachers will share this. And yes, right? Yes to all. And so now we've just sort of been building so much beyond that for different subjects, for teachers and for students. We've expanded our team. We've now built this whole app. I'm so excited for you guys to test out the app. So I'm going to share my screen right now. I have some slides for you guys, and I'll also share the slides. We'll put a link to the slides on this landing page so that you can get them. They're just, and I'm going to be updating them today as we go. So we'll link them up, but I'll put them in here. Let's see. All right, sharing my screen. Yeah, Robert, crazy year is an understatement. It literally has been it's been crazy, but it's been great, and I'm just so excited for what's next. Okay, now I just want. Okay, this is what I want. All right, sharing the screen. So remember, so this first hour is going to be all for teachers, right? So hopefully, you guys are all teachers. If not, students are welcome to join us. But this is going to be specific to like how to spend the last month in your classroom. For me personally, I love review season. Like I just find this like the most fun time. This is when, like all the work from the whole year just like comes together, and it's just like, actually, I'm going to share my screen in a different way. It's just like you see kids having like aha moments across the board. Things are coming together. Sometimes it takes all year for some kids. Sometimes it's like they're just like piecing together some of those skills, right? Like the things that you've been drilling, all the work that you've been doing. It really is like it's fruitful for right now, And so this is why I find this time of year really fun because and you get to like play games and review and do things that are, oftentimes more fun than some of the other parts of the school year, right? So I know that like sometimes it's stressful, but that's how I am approaching it. It's gonna be fun. So before we get into it, just so that you guys know, you can talk to me in the chat. You can talk to each other in the chat. Sometimes I'm kind of screen sharing, so I might not see it. But please add any questions that you have in Ask a Question, where the little stream it, where it says Ask a Question. Just put it in that parking lot, and then I will make sure to answer your questions. If I don't get to your question in this hour, I'll be live so I'm actually going to answer this one. So this hour is for teachers. In the next hour at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific will be for students. And for that, it's like all like, what do you need? How do you get organized? How should students be approaching this? And so we'll be focused on the student lens of things. And then after that, I'll be live still to just like take any questions that you have, whether it's about Fiveable, whether it's about how to study, how to get kids prepared, wherever you guys want to know, I'll be here to support you in that. Okay. All right, so let's jump in. So my goal today is to just like really give you guys a lot of just like really useful stuff so that you just can kind of like run into review season. So quick plug for our social networks. We're going to be posting all kinds of stuff in the next month that is, helping kids review, helping teachers with more resources to review, sharing good content just like across the internet. So if you're not already following us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, definitely check us out so that you are getting all of our like good social content, especially the giveaways that we're going to do throughout the next month. We're finally having some Fiveable merch, which we're also giving away today. And yeah, man, it's going to be fun. All right, so I'm going to just get a quick check-in question. You can either answer this in the chat with one of the emojis that are up there, with a different emoji if you feel a different way, or with just a word if you want to just describe yourself. Like, how are you feeling right now about AP exams, right? So about the fact that they're in a month. Are you feeling like how did it come up so fast? I'm running out of time. Are you feeling like over it? Like sometimes by this time of the year, it's just like, oh my God, just hurry up and get here already. I'm just so ready for this school year to be over. Totally get that. Sometimes you're just like, well, it's going to go how it's going to go. So let's just do this. Some years I just kind of felt like super like nerdy at this point of the year. I was like, I totally understand every rubric point. I've explained it so many times that I just feel so on top of it. Sometimes you feel excited. I don't know. So like, how are you feeling? So some of the answers so far: scared, I'm behind. Dylan, student tears, I'm just done at this point. I totally get that feeling. Panicked, I'm on target, but many students scoring low on unit tests. Totally. Yeah, so a little bit nervous, right? So I guess I didn't even put one up there that was a little bit more nervous. Excited for the students who have bought into the class, but have had issues with extreme student apathy. Totally, right? So like there's some students that just have never really been on board all year, and other students that have been on board since day one. And so now it's kind of like, what do I do? How do I manage all the different attitudes going on? Behind and rushed due to snow and cold days. Yeah, there's been a lot of snow days this year, depending on where you are. So maybe you haven't gotten to all the content that you want. So like every single one of these like feelings, if whatever you feel right now is totally valid, and just know that like you're not the only one that feels that way. So if you're feeling behind, you're feeling stressed, you're feeling nervous, you're feeling panicked, every AP teacher is feeling really all of these things. Join one of the Facebook groups if you're not in there. That's such a good community to just like share how you're feeling and just know that like other people are in it with you. But for today, my goal today is for you guys to get excited. I think yes, it's stressful. Yes, we're like nervous. We want the kids to do well. We want the best for all of them. We want all of our hard work to pay off. But ultimately, like, let's just get excited about it, because I think like a lot of how the students feel depends on how we are presenting things, right? Like our feelings come across no matter what. And so really just like celebrating the end of the year with kids, getting excited about these like final projects, these final push, and doing whatever you can in your classroom that would feel really right to you to just like celebrate that. Like we've come this far, we've done so much work, and now we get to just like dig in and work really hard for this last month, and then we're done, right? And then the test is over, and then we can look ahead to next year. But really it's like, actually, I would love for you guys to put in the chat what AP subjects you have. And also if like there's a common grade level that you teach in that subject. So if you have like AP World, and they're usually sophomores. So I'd love to just kind of get a sense of like what you guys are teaching. I'm not going to be subject specific at all this entire time. I'll use some examples. But for the most part, everything I'm going to do is for every subject. But I think like Beth said, mindset is really everything. Getting students excited, and really like understanding that for students, no matter what, if this is their first AP class or their last one, like our purpose in their like long-term, you know, educational journey is just to like keep them invested in it, you know? Like I don't want them to look at reviewing for an exam or things that are difficult and get nervous about it. I want them to be like, I got this, you know? And so just like pushing that forward. It's like, you know, human geography kids, if you're, you know, freshmen, if you guys have sophomores, they're going to keep going. They're going to keep taking AP exams. So let's get them excited about this process so that they don't give up, right? They keep going, right? So that they are learning long after that. Even if they're seniors, they're going to go to college or they're going to go into some other career. Like they need to have the mindset that like, we got this, you know, we can make learning fun. We can make being curious fun. All right. Long after the class is over. Exactly. But of course, I know the like stress is there. I totally get the stress. So just really quick agenda. I'm just going to talk a little bit about like goals versus intentions, because I think this is where you can sort of like help yourself like get through some of the like the stress that you have, and doing this with students too. And then the bulk of what we're going to do in this hour is just like all types of ideas. How do we spend this last month? It'll be interactive too, so you guys can always send ideas and I'll be tracking them on the PowerPoint, which will then be shared. And then some next steps at the end. So hopefully after this hour, you feel like you've got some just like really tangible ideas that you can spend some time, plan out the rest of your school year, and like run into April feeling like let's go. All right. But first, I just want like a really quick vent session. We'll start with some good things. What went well this year? You know, like as you were teaching this year, what came together? What went well? What were some things that you were like, I think, or like maybe there's a piece of content that you feel like your kids are really good at. Maybe you did a lot of writing this year. Maybe you did some like really awesome projects. Maybe you have more students than ever taking your AP class. Give me something. Give me some kind of win from the year. All right, evolution and ecology labs went well. That's awesome. Pacing, making sure to get through the curriculum together. That's such a big win, pacing. Pacing is like, it's so hard to keep on it, you know, especially when you have to like gloss over such big topics. I think my Euro kids caught on to the rubrics really quickly. That's awesome. Yeah, the rubrics are good. First year and I didn't suck. Woohoo! Yeah, I mean, it's your first year. There's so many things to like fix, but like you made it this far and they learned things. Even if you think they didn't, they did. 165 kids in APUSH. Oh my goodness. That's a lot. Yeah, that's awesome. Getting kids to take AP classes for the first time. Starting the shift from kids having access to information before class and then teaching how to interpret the info in class. That's awesome, Robert. So you've like sort of flipped your classroom. That's awesome. All right. So never forget those like wins, right? And I would start your class asking your students this too. Like, what went well? They might think back and be like, I didn't understand anything. You know, they make like generalizations, but like get them to pull out some of those wins and remember the things that did go well. All right. And then really quick, what are some things that you wish you could go back and do? Maybe you were already making a list for next year. Maybe it's in pacing. Yeah, pacing tends to be the big one, right? Where it's like, I wish I had more time right now. Maybe you have a lot of content left to cover. Maybe you want to do more writing, more projects, flipping the classroom, like Robert had said. What else? Like some of the other things that I oftentimes wish I did were like getting the kids to like talk more in class, right? Have more like engaging lessons like that. Having the students create a running list on important. Oh, that's cool. So like keeping an ongoing list go like throughout the year so that they could then go back to it. First year teaching. So yeah. So right. So some things didn't. So pacing, big thing. Some things didn't need as much time. All right. Awesome. So I just wanted to get a quick sense of just like, why not? Let's have a quick vent session. Okay, so as you're going into this last month, it's really important for you to set not only goals, but also intentions, and to do the same thing with students. Because, I think a lot of us put so much, investment on the scores of the exam, or like numbers. And those are good. Those are good goals to have. Like, you want to have a sense of like, set a goal for yourself. I want this percentage of students taking the exam. I want this percent of students passing the exam. Set the goal for yourself for sure. Have students set goals for themselves. Goals are like long-term though, right? And they're like measurable. They're, you can tell whether or not you did it. They're realistic. You can use like the SMART goal stuff. But the flip side to this that sometimes gets lost in this is the intentions. So setting like some really clear intentions for you, for the class as a whole, for each student, letting them set intentions too. Intentions are more like day to day, right? This is more like how we approach things. So for example, you can like set intentions to just like be really positive about the exam, right? We're not going to, we can express our feelings about it. We can be nervous about it, but we're not going to think of it as this like horrible thing that's coming up. We're going to be positive about it. Growth mindset, someone mentioned that earlier, right? Like setting the intention every day to let kids see how far they've come. Small wins, right? Like kind of setting the different intentions around, let's see, like, I just think that like each day is going to matter in that. And so just making sure that like every single day feels like progress towards the goals, right? And it kind of breaks it down into these like smaller things, but it can change the way that the class feels. So like when you think about like, if I want to celebrate this end of the year and I want to be really excited about it, we have to sort of do this every day. So do you guys have any like, goals or intentions that you want to share? You don't have to get super specific on numbers if you don't want to share them. But it's also like kind of nice to throw them out there into the world, and you can kind of like, it kind of helps you be accountable. Or like intentions that you want to focus on this year. Just like an intention around like making review fun could be really useful, right? Thinking like, I want every day to just like I want to have fun on this. 14 units in 14 days to review. Yeah, that's a good goal, right? Like 1 unit a day. That works. Okay, so then for you, for like an intention on that is like approaching all the content not as like a ton of things to just memorize, but rather like piecing through what we actually need to know, making sure that we're like engaged in that. It could be something around engagement, it could be something around like being present in that, something like that. So all right, so I just want to kind of like set that tone, because I think it's important for us as teachers to set both of these things, but also for students to do the same thing and to know the difference, right? It's like, I think it was like New Year's resolutions. Sometimes like setting those goals get like lost really fast, but setting like an intention for the year is sometimes a little bit like stronger. All right, I want students to take on the responsibility of review as a challenge rather than sitting passively and wanting me to talk all class. That's a really good, that would be awesome, right? Like you could basically set the intention of just like engaging, or like ownership over your review, right? So it's like, I don't want to talk at you. I want this to be something we do together. So like every day we're going to come in and we're going to work together on this, right? We're going to be a team to like, it's like us versus the exam. Right, that really like sets a strong intention every day. It's always us versus the exam. Getting through 2 practice exams in people pods where students help students practice strategies. That's awesome. Okay, so you want to get through 2 practice exams in pods that you have. Awesome. All right, so Set both things, have students set goals and intentions. It's just like really important going into this last stretch. All right. And like, you know, the thing is, the exams matter. Of course, we want them to pass. We want them to get the good scores. We want them to get the college credit. But the scores should not replace all the hard work done throughout the year. Like, I think this is not something that you might want to share with the kids like right away, but like on that last day before the test, that like kind of pep talk that you might give. It's not all about the scores, you know. Kids can work really hard all year and move really far in their own growth in a lot of different ways. And maybe they won't pass the exam, but that's okay, right? They can keep taking another exam or just keep learning, keep taking on challenges, right? It's not all about the scores. So yes, we want kids to do well, but if they don't, it's not the end of the world. And so also like setting that up for them as well. All right, let's talk about ideas for review. So I've just uploaded a bunch of videos. So as you know, we just released our new web app. There's a button underneath it and like all over this website. And so what I did is I made a bunch of videos that explain all of these review games. For me personally, I really liked review games because they were fun. I just like my intention in reviewing in my classroom was making studying fun. And that's also our intention at Fiveable too. Like that's how we approach it. And so I actually like set up in my classroom, like the last 3 weeks before the test, we set up a massive game of like AP Olympics. And through that, we had like the kids making teams. And then we played just like a bunch of different games or did a lot of different assignments and projects where kids could earn points for their team. And then at the end of the Olympics, like one team won and it was this whole big celebration. And we incentivized the kids with grades because that's just what worked for them. But anyways, I added all these different videos up, and these are all free in the web app. You don't have to be a Plus member to see these. Anyone can go in, and these will always be free, the skills videos. So students too. The way that I kind of approach all of these is I'm just explaining how the games work. So if you want to share these videos with students as just like, these are just, things you can play. Some of these are kind of specific to history, but some of them could be used for any. So, like a make and take is just like, one student would sort of like make a quiz. They could like write multiple choice questions or practice questions and then trade them with someone. And what I do in each of these videos is show you like not only how to do it, but why it's useful and how it can help you study. The timelines is a little bit more like, history oriented, or maybe, you could use it for psychology, but just like getting kids in the habit of making timelines, but not just like plugging in every single event, like making like thematic timelines, right? Here are all the social things that happened. Here are all the political things that happened. And you could even do that as a whole class. You could make massive timelines or even like chalkboard or chalk on the sidewalk. I know a lot of teachers will do that. Is like, just making that a huge art project and getting the review like just down on paper or down in an artistic way. And then some of the other like, games that are up there, like different speed rounds, like you could turn a timer on and do like thesis statements and just literally like practice speed. And so, you can make that fun and you can give points for it and attach it to larger things, but it's just getting the kids to like write fast. The last 4 are all just sort of like practicing with key terms in ways that you can like make connections with key terms. Historical math is just like using, basically you could set a problem that kids would have to find the answer to. That's like, the year Rome fell divided by, some some other, I'm trying to like think of numbers off the top of my head, divided by like the number of, countries on the Allied side in World War II, something like that. And so you can basically set like an equation for the kids that really like math stuff. Used any of these games. And we're gonna go on. I'm gonna like open it up to like a little bit more ideas that we can add. But have you used any of these ones? And I just kind of went fast through it because you can get all these videos are up so that you can click through and you can see more like longer versions of how I kind of go through it. I think the favorite ones out of here would definitely be like Taboo. All right, so let me just kind of explain that one. Taboo would just be, this is also like heads up. There's an app that plays this, but you wouldn't use this app. You basically get the kids to write down a lot of different key terms. So this can be done for any single subject, right? Write down as many key terms as they can. And then they're in a team. And so like one person might have like the name of a key term that is sort of like they can't see, but the team can see. And so the team has to get them to guess what that word is without saying the word, right? So you can get them to, if it's a person, the team might be describing to them like what that person did or how you need to know about that person. And then, they have to guess it, and then you kind of keep going and get a point. Done speed round, they get a definition. Whoever runs up to write the term the fastest on the board wins a point. That's super fun. I did one kind of similar like that where they were like running up to the board, and it was like super chaotic and super fun. Let's see what else. All right, so this is just sort of like a resource basket that we're just kind of giving you guys. So, definitely check out, if you haven't used any of these games, check out the videos so that you can just sort of like see more in depth how each one is played, and different ideas to use them. I also uploaded a few videos on like how to use study guides. If you're teaching AP World, I uploaded study guides for every unit, and I'm going to be uploading other guides for other subjects as well. And then I also did one about note cards. I think a lot of kids will make note cards, but then they just sort of are like reading, memorizing. And so in that video, there's some different ideas of how you can sort of organize them to review. That's not just reading through them. You can like create different piles. You can, almost organize them in like a geographic sense. You can organize them in a chronological sense. So I uploaded another video about note cards there. And the skills section in the web app will always be free. Taboo. Taboo is my favorite. It's so fun. I just like play that one with my friends. Okay, so obviously there's a million different review games, and we'll open it up in a few minutes to just get more ideas. But the other big thing that you can do is projects, right? So by the time you get to spring break, whenever your spring break is, you should be done with new content, right? So the goal is sort of like after spring break to sort of be sliding right into review. Maybe you have one chapter left, but then you're at review. So if you still have a lot of chapters left, if you found that pacing wise you're sort of behind, I would suggest there's going to be a point where you sort of have to make this decision. But I would suggest dividing up what's left and having students like teach the remaining content and kind of making that sort of a project in and of itself. Especially if you're like super behind, right? If you're like really, you have a lot to catch up on. It's not worth it to like really slow down now. Like it's not worth it to keep going and then lose that review time. That review time is everything, right? So you want to make sure that you have at least 2 weeks to review, to like go back through and get reviewing. If you can swing 3, then awesome. If you're, running out of time, like see what you can do to make sure to catch up. Dylan says, my econ teacher this year had us break up into groups and draw on a blank shower curtain. Oh yeah, the shower curtain project is like a huge, people do this a lot, where it's like, let me write this one down. You basically get like shower curtains at like a Target for pretty cheap. And then shower curtain review. And then you have kids like take huge chunks of material, so like an entire unit or several chapters, and organize all of that onto the shower curtain. It's not necessarily about the fact that it's a shower curtain. It's just getting them to like organize a lot of content in not a lot of space, right? And so they sort of have to like create a big like graphic organizer essentially. Yeah, shower curtains at the dollar store for $1, right? So you can get, one shower curtain per like team, and that's an awesome way to review. It's a cheap way to do it so that you don't have to get like posters and stuff for them. So the other ways that you can do things too, actually, let me put this in here. So, you can split up all the content and have them do a lot of different things with it. So this is like if you have a little bit longer, if you have 3 weeks. If you have 3 weeks, I would suggest spending a week doing some kind of project, or even 2 weeks. Divide up the content, split up everything and have teams. If you're doing a longer like AP Olympics, you can embed a project into that, right? They're like doing this as they go. They're getting points for playing games. They're also going to get a lot of points for the project that they do. You can have them just teach the class. They can create, PowerPoints or, worksheets, or like review like study guides. Here, like create a study guide / like one sheet. So like, you could have them teach the class in any way that they can. It's good for them. Like, I think one of the best ways to learn is to teach, right? So if they have to teach others, they'll know that content really well. You can have them create review games. You could be playing a longer Olympics, or you just want to play different games, and you could have them create the material. So, they could put together all kinds of different games. Like if you were doing Taboo, you could have your team like come up with all the key terms, or come up with like historical math problems, or create little like mind maps around content and then share that out with others. You can have them create sample questions, and even like quiz the class. Like you could do like practice tests that the kids are creating. You could do like that shower curtain review. They can create study guides. You could even, I've uploaded like AP World study guides. One of the things that we did is we made those like crowdsourced. So you could have the whole class creating a study guide together. And that's, that can be really useful, right? Like, do you need every student to fill out the entire study guide? Sure, it's useful, but you could split up the study guides, right? You could have one team be filling this study guide out and then share it with the rest of the class. So everybody has all the stuff, but they don't necessarily need to each do every single question. Let's see. Spring break is always the first week of March. Next week it starts on the 29th and is preceded by a week of no class. I'll need to use a different metric. Yeah. If your spring break is too early, then, you would want to use spring break as that like guide. But if it's in April, that's a good like shifting point. Students make stop motion animations of different topics. That's so cool. Do you put those on like YouTube or anything? Because if you have some that your students create, we would love to like showcase that. If they're creating stuff. Someone else said have students make music playlists for each unit. That's super cool. So like, all right, so let me write these down. So stop motion videos, or even just like review videos. Like they could create their own like crash course video just like, John Green and Hank Green. You could have them like watching sample videos, and then they have to recreate a whole thing. The kids love that kind of stuff, like they know how to do it, and they can create cool stuff. Or even like using like TikTok would like put music behind it, create music playlists. And if you guys have, so if your students are creating any of these kinds of things for your classroom, feel free to have them share them with us, or you can share them on social media. You could add us on Twitter, or you could even just email it to us if you wanted to. But we would be happy to like post them. We want to showcase things that students are doing to share with others, so that people can see like what kinds of stuff. We want to celebrate it. We want to celebrate your students, and we also want to show other students how cool some of these things could be. If they look good, whatever you want. I mean, if a kid is really proud of it, then we're happy to share it too. We're not going to set some sort of barrier. All right. So what other ideas do you guys have? What else do you do to review? Do you have other types of projects, other types of games that you might play? What are some other things that you do in order to get through all the material? I like to also play. I played trivia in my classroom. Trivia. Basically, what I would do is adapt a version of like bar trivia that I really like to play, that was in different rounds, and I would write questions. Some of them would be like, we would like, put a bunch of pictures on a piece of paper and print them out, and then the team would have to label those things, whether they were diagrams or people to know, or like basically like, visual of key terms, and they would have to answer them. I'd even do like a music round. This one could be like, let's see, questions, labels, music. We even do a music round for fun. Like I would create a playlist that had a theme that was related to the class. So like I did a whole like playlist where the theme was like kings and queens. And so, they had to figure out that was the theme, and all the songs were like pop culture songs. And then I'd give them points for being able to identify the artist, but the bigger points were the theme of it. That was just like a fun thing that we did. What else do we do? Heads up, catchphrase, musical chair questions. That's awesome. Heads up. Yeah, that's similar to like Taboo, right? Where like they can't say the word, so you have to get them to say the word, on top of that. What is it, like trash ball? That's a fun one where like you basically have some question that's being answered, and if you get it right, then you get to like shoot. You can just literally use paper for this. You get to like shoot it into the like wastebasket, and then the team would get more points if they get it in. It's like adding layers of things where like there's obviously learning happening in a bunch of ways, but then there's like some other fun thing that the kids just really love to do. Macro teacher does free response Fridays, where we spend the first hour of the period doing full 3 FRQs and the other 20 minutes going over them. Yeah, okay. So any way that you can incorporate past essay questions, whether you're doing it all as a class, or you could even like kind of crowdsource it. You could have the entire class like writing a DBQ together, kind of thing, where like each group writes a different paragraph of it, and then we sort of put it together, and then we could score it. You could have them sort of like pick practice prompts out of a hat and then have to answer that. We did one once where it was like, I wrote down like, I had 12 different questions in the class, and I just had 2 copies of each one. And I would give, each person would have like 2 minutes with that essay. And they would basically have to just like keep writing that essay. And then after 2 minutes, they'd switch and then go to like a different one. And then wherever that person had left off, they'd keep going on it. That one was kind of crazy, but it was kind of fun. Let's see. One of these things doesn't belong here. The kids pair up and discuss why it doesn't fit or why three relate to each other. That's awesome. So if there's pairs of things, so then you have, oops. If you have, a set of things, then they have to figure out like which one isn't supposed to be there and why, like what's the outlier and why the other three are connected. Kahoot is awesome. Kahoot is always a fan favorite. The other thing that you can try is Quizlet Live. It's super awesome. Like, it's really fun. The kids really like it because you basically have, there's four, let's say you have four members on the team. Each one will have different key terms on their screen, and they have to collectively figure out who has the correct answer. And you can project like a horse race, basically, so that you can see like which team is winning. That one's super fun. Older questions from College Board and have students grade with the rubric and then reveal the score given by College Board. Totally. Yep. So just getting kids to practice past essay questions and then like show scores. This one is, what was this? Gimkit. Yeah, this is like a good, it's cool. Gimkit is cool. So a high school kid made this app where it's like, actually, I'm going to put this one up here. It's similar to some of these other ones. It's kind of like trivia. And you can like pull in topics from Quizlet to just kind of generate trivia games. And it's designed by a high school student, which is cool. So it's very like user friendly. I have Who Has. So this one would be like in pairs. So you would have to, you'd have like, if I had, let's see, I would have like a person and someone else has like an event that's related to them. And so you sort of like, you keep going until you connect, everyone's sort of connecting on that. Another way to like get the terms connected. I haven't done this yet, but got this idea from someone last year and plan to use it. Use Sharpies to write terms from a unit/period on a dollar store beach ball and then toss it around. When the student catches the ball, they have to talk about that term. That's awesome. Talk about the term their right or left thumb is closest to. Yeah, you could do beach ball review with topics. Yeah, so this one you basically like you would just write all the different topics on it or different questions on it, and then as you toss it around, like wherever you catch it, that's what you have to answer or you have to talk about or explain about. I think like the biggest thing is like it's important to do a variety of things, like each kid is going to learn different and some things will work for some kids better, some things will just be more fun for some kids. Whereas like, like when a teacher would ask me to like draw in some way, like that was my like like personal hell. I hated that. But for other kids, they love that. And so doing a lot of different things lets kids shine in different ways and they get to like step into like what they know. All right. So I'm just going to like start to wrap up, but if you have more ideas, put them in the chat and I'll still add them. Okay, so just some like quick next steps. No matter where you're at, and I would really suggest doing this weekend if you haven't already, just plan out the last month, plan out the last month and a few weeks. Just kind of jot it down, open up a Google Doc, and just make sure that you sort of have a plan. If you have more chapters to finish, plug those in. You know the next few weeks are sort of taken up by finishing up content, and then plan exactly how you want to spend the days of review. Share your plan with students. You know, it's good for kids to know what's going to happen, what's happening next. You know, it's not like, I think that sometimes students, you know, they don't necessarily know all the planning that goes into things. Sometimes they just think there's like a curriculum that we've just like file printed. So share your plan. Let them know what's going to happen. What are we going to play? Like, especially right now, if they know that in a couple weeks we're going to be reviewing and it's going to be fun, they're going to look forward to that. So keep your plan public, you know, put it on your whiteboard or share it on Google Classroom. Like, let them know like what's coming up, and they can kind of be part of the planning process in some ways, right? You know, you got to be able to update it when it's needed. Of course, that's true all year. But for review time, it's even more important because time is of the essence. So if you choose to do a project and you're like, this is going to be the best project ever, we're going to divide up the content, we're going to do this whole thing. And let's say, you know, you're 3/4 of the way through the project and it maybe isn't going as well as you wanted. Don't feel like you have to keep doing it, you know? Update it. Figure out how to now get out of that project and move on to something else. Like, there was one year where we had done this like change over time project that we wanted to do. And as soon as the kids were about to present, we were like, they are not ready to present. These presentations are going to go on for like 3 days and they're not going to be useful. And so we just decided we're not going to have them present. We're going to have them submit the PowerPoints to us. We'll share them with the class. And now we need to just sort of reorganize for the last like week that we have, because we need every day to be really useful. So update when you need to. And that's where like kids can help, right? Like if they're not feeling like class time is useful, have them work with you to figure out what would be useful? What do you want to do to review? And even like how we just did a brainstorm, you could even do something like that with your students. And then really celebrate wins, right? Make the process of review fun. You know, just like the goals and intentions, I think just having them excited, you know, like every time someone gets a point in one of these games, like make it a whole big thing. You know, do like after school stuff where there's music on, you know, like if that's not something you usually do, that's like, it's like a way to just sort of like set this time apart. Once you give them the practice test, what's the best way to go over the results? That's a great question. So, all right, I'm going to X out of this. Let me share this PowerPoint with you. Go team. All right, so let's see. Share. One sec. Let me just share this PowerPoint with you, and then if you have any questions, let's drop any questions that you have in there, and I'm going to go through and answer a bunch of questions. So questions about anything, about AP, about review, about Fiveable, about a student that you have that you don't know what to do and you're, I don't know, stressed about that. Whatever you have. Okay, so this is, here's the PowerPoint. I'm going to move this to question. Okay, so once you give a practice test, what's the best way to go over results? I think you can do it in a couple different ways. You can do some parts of it almost like together, right? You can just sort of go over it. But in other ways, you can sort of divide it up. So let's see, this suggestion here is focus your review time on what they did. Okay, so I'll go back to that. So you could, for multiple choice, for example, you could sort of popcorn that. You could have different kids have to just like explain really quick and just move through the class. You could, for an essay, yeah, okay, so for an essay, you might just want to like do some big highlights. I would say like, you know, let the kids look at a couple examples potentially and then share out what looks good, what doesn't look good. Give answers 20 at a time, the ones most missed by each pod. I spend a few minutes reviewing or asking another pod who got the question right. Totally. Yeah, so you could just like do them in chunks. Something that I did is I created a bunch of like Google forms that were practice quizzes essentially. and the kids would do their practice quiz on the Google form. And as soon as they were done, then they could see really fast what answers were correct. Like on Google Forms, you can set a correct answer. And so they can see really fast like how they did. And then I would go through it. I would project just like the graphs for each question. And so we would just slow down on questions that, a lot of students got wrong. And so that was a little bit more interactive. I think the best thing to keep in mind is just like limit the time that you're just sort of talking at and doing more like getting from. That would be like my biggest suggestion. For any Euro teachers, Lynn Eurozone podcast is amazing. Sounds awesome. Key element to the curriculum. Yeah, podcasts are dope. Definitely don't overlook podcasts. There's several for each subject that are really useful in just like supporting them. It's just like different things, right? All right, you guys have other questions about review? What are you going to do after the exam too? I know it's like hard to think about that, but after the exam, there's like this like little chunk of time that's just like kind of fun. You get to kind of do whatever, right? Those are my favorite projects. I'll probably do another live stream after the exam about what to do after that. Cake project. They get in a group and have to design a cake based on a historical event. That's so awesome. That's awesome. Right? Because then they get to like do something totally different. Sometimes people have them kind of look ahead, right? Like practicing almost like a push at the end of AP World. I definitely did a lot of like movie reviews, analysis. We did like a more like current events thing. Movie poster projects. That's cool. After the exam, movie relevant to the curriculum, and then an independent project that will be a tool for next year's students. Totally. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so you have like the students create almost like a guide to this class that they can give to the students next year, that you'll give to the students next year. That's super cool. So like getting them to realize like how much, not just how much they learned, but like how much they learned about how to be in this class. And so they can share that with everyone else. Yeah, like a video on a leader. Obscure American Heroes project. That's cool. So I did something like that in my last year in my classroom. We did like like the Humans of New York Instagram. We did something like that. We did like a Humans of History. And so they didn't just they had to pick sort of those like obscure people and write about them, but I also had them incorporate like other people in their life too, just like humans of, I forget what we called it. Something like that. It was like humans of something. And so we just like put together a lot of stuff about their own life, but also like other people that they admired. Okay, this question of what is the best way to study for an APUSH exam, I'm going to answer that in the next stream when we get to students. Okay, so I'm gonna take a 5-minute break. I'm gonna push everyone into the next session so that you're all there. This is when I'm gonna like chug my coffee. So we're gonna at 1 p.m. Eastern. This is the live stream for students. So highly recommend sharing with students. Let them know that I'll be live right now. I'm doing a very similar presentation, but totally focused on students. Right. So it's not about like how to teach it. It's like how to actually do it. And so please spread the word to students so that they can get access to all this, so they know they can, get some ideas on how to study. Definitely recommend take a few minutes to check out the web app, check out the skills. We're really proud of this. I actually want to show just a quick like, hang on. I'm just going to show you a quick. Woohoo. All right. So we're just really excited about our new web app. By web app, we just mean like, it's like our new platform on computers. And so all the subjects are in here, and this skills one is always free. So you'll see this when you first log in. And this is what I was talking about, was like here from, there's like multiple choice strategies, how to study with note cards, how to use study guides. And then all those review games that I talked through, there's videos for all of those. So, here's like a video that I explain how to play AP Olympics. Here's one that I'm explaining these like connection wheels, which I like to play. So you can go through and you can see all of these skills things are free. So if you're not a Plus member, you can see all of those. And then there's also just like all the reviews that we've done all year. We've been live every single week for all of these subjects. And so, like for AP Euro, you've got all the videos that Tom has done and all the things related to that we can post. Oh, these are like upcoming ones. And then, we got everything in here. So you can see all of that in there. I just want to take a quick second to show you that. I'm glad that this was helpful. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I know it's a Saturday and you want to enjoy not school things. But I just wanted to get everyone kind of thinking about the end of the year and the review time. Yeah, please shout us out on Twitter. We're going to give out some Fiveable Plus subscriptions today and some just merch. Ton will be sending those out. And yeah, so I hope to see students in session 2. So I'm going to move everyone into session 2. Let's see. Okay, I think I end this one. All right, y'all, I'll be back in a few minutes. Take a break, go check out the web app, and I'll see you in a few minutes.